So the iPhone 14 series is now officially released here in the Philippines. And as many of you know, it doesn't mean it wasn't available through non-authorized resellers in Green Hills since last month. But still, it's officially out. You've probably seen the reviews already and how it's currently the latest and greatest, and not to mention one of the most expensive lineup of smartphones available today. Now, if any of you really know me, you would know that I lean towards practicality when it comes to my consumer tech. Most of the gadgets that I currently own were bought used, usually through platforms like Facebook Marketplace or Carousel. This is because I believe it is the most economical and sustainable way to keep myself modernized in tech. And what about the iPhone 14s, especially the higher-end iPhone 14 Pro and Pro Max? Is it something that you should own in order for you to keep yourself relevant in today's tech-oriented world? Well, obviously not, but it sure is a nice way for you to tell the world that you've got the latest and greatest. Which, by the way, will no longer be the case once the iPhone 15 comes out next year. So what if I told you that for about 16,000 pesos less, you can get the next best thing? And I'm not talking about a used phone. I'm talking about this. I'm Ian Reyes, and this is my experience with the iPhone 13 Pro. Before anything else, funny story. So my wife's sister asked me to recommend her a smartphone she could buy without considering the price. Being an iPhone 10 user, I naturally leaned toward recommending the then latest iPhone, which is the iPhone 13 Pro. To cut the story short, little did I know that my wife was very much involved in this planned purchase for my sister-in-law's supposed new iPhone. Then came my birthday. So, no, my sister-in-law never planned on buying a new iPhone after all. I got played, but in a good way. So thanks to my dear wife for sponsoring this video. So let's talk iPhone. The iPhone 13 Pro is a great phone, but let me focus on 3 things that blew me away when I started using it, replacing my iPhone 10. First, that build quality. This thing is a tank. The edges are made of stainless steel, while other phones, including the lower iPhone 13s and 14s for that matter, are made of aluminum, and you can really feel the difference. Now, the iPhone 10 was also made of stainless steel, but the iPhone 13 Pro is a bit different. I noticed that even the SIM card tray is also stainless steel. It's something I noticed when I switched my SIM card to this iPhone 13 Pro. So if you're aiming for the tougher feeling iPhone, you should definitely go for the Pros. However, aside from feeling the difference between the aluminum and the stainless steel, you can also weigh the difference. So if it's something that would bother you, this is a heavy phone, but it is just about as heavy as the iPhone 14 Pro, but obviously much lighter than the Pro Max versions of both generations. Another thing I noticed right away is that display. Someone once told me that once you go OLED coming from an LCD screen, you could go back. But this time I say once you go ProMotion, you couldn't go back to the standard 60 Hz display. My eyes got fixated on this adjustment that when I went back to my iPhone 10, everything looked jittery. I don't know if others will notice the difference, but I sure did. And lastly, that camera. The iPhone 10 had a great camera, even to this day. But the iPhone 13 Pro took a huge leap, especially in the low light department. I really appreciate the 3 cameras of the Pro because it gives me more flexibility when it comes to focal lengths. I'm not a big fan of the cinematic mode in the iPhone 13 though. Actually, on second thought, I kinda am. I mean, look at that. That background blur. Crazy. Now there's really nothing more I can say. Call quality is good, battery life is good, the software is of course best of its class, but this is supposed to be a comparison between the iPhone 13 Pro and the new iPhone 14 Pro. So what do we miss out on the additional 16,000 pesos? Well, here's the thing. Not much. In the iPhone 14 Pro, you get the marginally faster A16 Bionic chip, a slightly brighter display, autofocus in the selfie camera, a 48 megapixel camera which wouldn't really be of use if you're not a professional photographer who likes to edit your photos, a crash detection feature which honestly I don't think we'll ever be able to use here in the Philippines anyway. And of course, the dynamic island, which let's admit would probably be the only real reason why you would buy the iPhone 14 Pro over this and all other lower-end iPhones. Because this is a badge of honor in the form of a pill-shaped screen cutout. Now, don't get me wrong. I believe the iPhone 14 Pro is a great phone and is in many ways better than the iPhone 13 Pro. The always-on display, action mode and video, those things make the iPhone 14 Pro better. But think about this for a moment. With that 16,000 pesos savings, you would get a state-of-the-art smartphone with almost all of the features and capabilities of the latest and greatest. You can use that savings to get yourself an Apple Watch, or maybe go on a vacation in Boracay or somewhere, or even buy, 100 Whoppers in Burger King. Just a suggestion. Do you own an iPhone 13 Pro, or maybe a 14 Pro? Share with me your experience in the comments below and make sure to like and subscribe. See you around.